All right. I've been playing Trove for, I think I'm at like 10 years now from October, something like that, which is pretty crazy. And a lot of people keep asking me, like, how can I keep playing this game for so long? How do I still enjoy it, etc.? There's two answers to that. One is that Trove is still kind of one of my favorite games. Even if the updates have been pretty lackluster lately, I would still advocate the fact that there's nothing quite like Trove in terms of an MMORPG that's not only all cubes and voxels, but also the fact that we have like such crazy movement capabilities, not only just on the ground, but verticality with jumping. Like that's not something that's common in any other MMO. And that has always stayed interesting to me. On top of that, I have a reptile brain, which means seeing numbers go up is usually all I need for a solid game loop, so long as the gameplay is fun. And as we've already mentioned, the gameplay is in fact fun. So for me, the enjoyment of Trove comes out of doing tons of dungeons and just having my inventory items go up, or my Paragon levels passively going up. Like just so long as I know something is slowly being worked on and growing in power or just in item quantity, that's all I really need. But the second answer as to why I can still keep playing Trove is because it's my job and I'm a content creator. Because I enjoy making videos for you guys. I enjoy making tutorials. I enjoy streaming Trove and having you guys around to interact with and talk about just life and whatever else. In a way, it's kind of like those, what are those popular things on YouTube nowadays? Podcasts. Except I get to actually like play a video game at the same time, because a podcast all on its own would be boring. But there's kind of this general consensus from a lot of people, that eventually I'll move on from the game, or that I'm like just waiting for the next thing to trend on the channel and then move on kind of thing. And that's not really, I don't think that's ever going to end up happening. So I wanted to I kind of wanted to just be straight with you guys and say, I'm not going to quit Trove. Okay. I know that lately I've been having these streams where I'm counting down the days until I uninstall. And yes, I am going to uninstall Trove, but there's a bigger picture at play here, on top of it just being kind of a meme. First of all, I am attempting to stream Trove every day for a week. That's kind of the goal right now, just because I think it's interesting. Usually what I do in terms of how I approach my content is I'll stream Trove one day, because that's a quick, easy video for me, because I get to banter with you guys and I don't have to think very hard. I can just play the game, whatever. But then I'll usually try to have like an actual dedicated Trove video the second day, sometimes the third, if it's a bigger project that I can't really manage as much. Because obviously streams don't get as many views as like the normal videos do. That's kind of the YouTube side of things. But on top of that, I do still have a lot of ideas for Trove content. It's not like I'm fresh out. However, a lot of the ideas and a lot of the content that I'm going to be creating on Trove for the foreseeable future is most of all just kind of repeat content, updated tutorials and so on and so forth. And if I'm being real with you guys, there's definitely a side effect of doing the same videos over and over, because as a creative, like I'm a creative person, that's the part of YouTube that I consider like the job side of things, where it's like, okay, everybody wants to have updated class tutorials. Well, how can I end up making that fun for me? Well, I ended up, putting in a much higher production value into them with the cuts and the way that I ended up approaching it. And a lot of you might just see it as, oh man, those videos took a really long time to come out. What the heck? Are you barely working on them? But the amount of like effort and energy that had to go into making 18 different class guides that are all of the same quality, with each of the classes being slightly different and whatever, like it was no small undertaking for me and how seriously I take that, like tutorials and stuff. I always take tutorials very seriously in how I approach them. But I also have to try and always find a balance between the fun side of things. And that's where I took on the other project of making the videos for crafting all of the classes. And those were a lot of fun because I got to just goof around in those because it was, you know, a lot more relaxed and a lot more straightforward to how you would craft the classes. Long story short, I try to have a balance between the streaming and the normal videos, but this week I'm going to try just streaming Trove nonstop every day. And as to uninstalling the game, I am going to uninstall it. I don't know if I'll end up doing it on a live stream or if I'll just do it on a video. We'll see what ends up being more convenient for me. But I'm excited beyond measure for Path of Exile 2. To kind of explain a little bit of, you know, where is this hype coming from? I mean, a lot of you that have been with the channel long enough know I'm kind of a bit of a Diablo veteran, even though I don't really cover Diablo anymore on the channel. I've played every Diablo game on the channel at one point or another. And long before I even did YouTube, I had hundreds of hours in all of the Diablo games. You know, I grew up with playing Diablo 1 and 2 co-op with like my brother and my cousins and stuff. We would always just replay it all the time, over and over. And then I played Diablo 3 like crazy when it first came out. And Diablo 4, I was genuinely really excited for, and the campaign was good, but then the gameplay itself just kind of died and fell off to the side. There's a lot of influence, even with regards to Trove, that I wish the developers would actually implement. Like I've talked about on streams, a hypothetical of having, more meaningful gear drops in Trove, similar to Diablo and whatever. Now, once upon a time, I did end up playing Path of Exile 1. I didn't really like it. But that was also because I played it back in the Jurassic era when the game just came out. Now, Path of Exile 2, on the other hand, is way more exciting for me because it looks like what Diablo 4 needed to be. Because they're trying to essentially reinvent the wheel and take an ARPG, like a top-down dungeon crawler, but add in some depth of combat with like Dark Souls combat type of thing, like with dodge rolling and meaningful televised boss and enemy attacks, which is something that's kind of unheard of in that genre. So that already makes it way more appealing to me because I also love Souls-likes. You know, Elden Ring is one of my favorite games, like 400 or 500 hours or something, whatever I'm at. With the PlayStation version of the game, I've played through Elden Ring I don't know how many times. And there's just a lot of competence and confidence that I've been seeing throughout the developer interviews with Path of Exile, to the point that I'm genuinely really excited. Most of all, I'm excited because the boss fights and stuff look epic. The game actually has a pretty competent end game. And then also it looks like it might have the best necromancer in any video game ever. And if I'm being honest, a summoner is always my ideal favorite class. It's just they always end up underperforming in most games. And unfortunately, I can't bring myself to play on the class unless it's actually like, you know, good. Like Tomb Raider is actually pretty good for a summoner class. It's just so slow, I can't play it versus Shadowhunter. Anyways, the reason why I'm getting into all of this is because the plan is that I'm going to uninstall Trove while we end up, you know, when Path of Exile 2 comes out this Friday. And then I'm going to play Path of Exile, probably like dedicating like maybe a solid week towards just Path of Exile. Like it's kind of a risk for me because it's the first time where I'm not going to try and regularly have Trove videos to balance out like the YouTube side of things. And it might end up hurting my channel overall just because of the way that the stupid algorithm works and so on and so forth. But my point is, I'm not going to quit Trove, okay? It's not like I'm going to leave the game and never come back or anything. I'm just so hyped for Path of Exile, and I kind of want to just take a break from the YouTube work side of things and just, in a way, you know, take some time off from Trove and YouTube and instead just focus on Path of Exile. Now, I'm still going to be streaming Path of Exile, creating content on Path of Exile, but I just don't consider that to be like work, if you know what I mean, because it's just a new game. It's all hype and everything like that. And I'll still end up definitely doing the work side of things with tutorials and so on and so forth once I come to gripes with the game itself. And I'm still going to end up having regular Trove videos, like, you know, Luxian's coming this Friday, so I obviously still gonna do that. And then if the Snowfest event starts this week, it might start on Tuesday, otherwise it's gonna be next week. Either way, I'll still cover that, you know. But the Trove streams might stop for a little while, and just generally speaking, the Trove content might slow down for a bit. And I just wanted to be transparent with you guys and forthcoming that I'm uninstalling Trove for a meme. I'm still going to reinstall it, and I by no means am saying that I'm quitting. So don't worry about all that stuff. I'm just really, really hyped for Path of Exile. So hopefully you guys can end up tuning into that. And yeah, I hope this clarified everything, because I'm still going to keep naming the Trove streams the same and until we hit the actual release of PoE 2.